So my wife has recently convinced me to start writing. The equivalent of your nighttime sketches, just fucking sit down and write something. I spent an hour and a half writing one paragraph, and she came in and said, David, you're doing it wrong. Just write stuff. And it has helped a huge number of different disparate thoughts come together. I only have 10 minutes, so I have to go pretty quickly. My intention was to come here tonight and actually ask the hive mind, reverse things a little bit, show you guys a little bit, and pull in information. Instead, I'm going to just put a bunch of shit out there and hope that you're all in the Spec Slack and I can all ask you over time. I know this guy is, the Douglas Adams quote from yesterday is in here now because I move that fast. In astrology, the rules happen to be about stars and planets, but they could be about ducks and drakes for all the difference it would make. It's just a way of thinking about a problem, which lets the shape of that problem begin to emerge. The more rules, the tinier the rules, the more arbitrary they are, the better. It's like throwing a handful of fine graphite dust on a piece of paper to see where the hidden indentations are. It lets you see the words that were written on the piece of paper above it that's now been taken away and hidden. The graphite's not important. It's just the means of revealing the indentations. So you see, astrology has nothing to do with astronomy. It's just to do with people thinking about people. And then to get even more esoteric, going into some Steve Reich stuff, talking about music as a gradual process. I do not mean the process of composition, but rather the pieces of music that are literally processes. The distinctive thing about musical processes is that they determine all the note-to-note details and the overall form simultaneously. Think of a round or infinite canon. Row, row, row your boat, row, row, row your boat. It is itself. I'm interested in perceptible processes. I want to be able to hear the process happening throughout the sounding music. I'm going to skip the John Cage bit because I only have 10 minutes or 6. What I'm interested in is compositional process and sounding music that are one and the same thing. I'm going to skip from there to following up on the first thing that I presented to you guys, which was this piece. You may recall. Woo! It exists. It's in my garage. It's done. August 11th. Thank you. Thanks in no small part to your guys' collective brain power and inspiration. August 11th, there's a show. I'll post it to the Spec channel. You guys should see it. There's going to be 300 other people there presenting, but I'll have one little corner. The reason I bring this piece up is that an old mentor of mine finally came over to my house to look at it and tore me a new asshole. I had built this with a friend. It combines kinetic sculpture with projection and music. I took the opposite route that you did. I started as a commercial animator, VFX, engineering, and like now I have to come out to my parents as an artist, and it's very weird and awkward. And taking media art and tech art and just finally starting to call it art is a very new thing for me. So my old mentor looked at this and he said, why are there projections? Why is there music? Listen to the motors of the thing. It's incredible. I put all this work into dampening the sound. And he's like, it's beautiful, the sound. You can't hear it here because this is CG, but this thing plays the most bizarre chords. And as soon as I realized that I was working against the basic medium and I wasn't listening to the music, I realized, okay, I've built an instrument, now I'm at zero, and I have to start working as a composer. And Steve Reich and Brian Eno as a gateway drug, and all of these things have started to come together. And because I'm writing for the first time in my life, I'm able to see that there's a relationship between every goddamn thing I've been chasing for the last 20 years in 100 different directions, and leaving and picking up my ball and going home and playing with something else, and they've all been converging. Ad infinitum is the name of the first piece. I'm just going to do shotgun style through this because I don't have practice. Formal minimalism in composition is the idea that you set up a system and the system itself is the composition. I've built a machine that can do that. Emerging patterns come out of that, and they don't just emerge naturally. You set up the conditions to let the right thing happen, and then you trust that they're going to happen. I spent 30 years getting away from my families. My dad was a curator, instrumental in the California light and space movement, and it's boring and I don't want to touch it. And finally, I just realized that I've been in love with it the whole time. So I want to understand. Okay, I sound like a crazy person. If nobody's heard of the Underground Museum, you need to go. It is a local museum that's on Western and Washington, and they have an entire mocha lineup. I can't do justice to the purpose of this place right now, but they have a Terrell and they have an Olafur Eliasson, and you can just go there for free. It's in a storefront, and I just, like, a bunch of things clicked, and I realized that, God damn it, I'm an artist, and I'm interested in stuff. Math as a gateway drug to art, and art as a gateway drug to math. And then the thing that's really been fascinating to me lately, I work as a motion graphics artist and a VFX artist, and I'm interested, I used to work for an architect, and I'm interested in the fact that these are all the same thing, that music and light and motion and feelings can be a place. We have the technology that they didn't have in 1979, making crazy installation pieces, to make sound into a place and to make motion into an abstraction. And that the motion I've been doing as an animator doesn't need a particular medium, it just exists on its own. And so with that in mind, a brief tour through my Instagram feed. These are all sculptures. Some of the 2BC people here will recognize this one. It hasn't quite worked out yet, but I'm, you know, still here, and you guys are still here, and we're playing a very long game, and it still needs to happen. All of this stuff needs to happen. I'm going to get to why I'm bringing this up in a moment.
Sorry.
No, do it.
Did when he was very young at the original art exhibition?
No.
At the Guggenheim?
No, but I left my notebook over there. I want to take notes from all of you guys in a moment. There's a few that I really like. These are conveyor belts. Actually, this one isn't conveyor belts. These are just pieces of wood that are on rails that all know where each other are. And I'm doing exactly the opposite of the purpose of these things by showing them to you for 10 seconds and leaving. But the reason I bring them all up is that my latest piece needs some help. So the thing that's the most fascinating to me is the idea that art as a place, as a meditation, as a structure that is doing a thing is really, really fascinating to me. So this, I'm cheating here. This is a sculpture meant to be about, well, as large as I can get a grant to make it. A spiral groove, a screw of Archimedes that releases, that does timed release of these ball bearings. These are pinballs. A giant, just imagine a giant spiral. You release pinballs. Because it's CG, I can stick a camera on that guy and write him all the way down. And although the music of the system itself is amazing, since it doesn't exist, I just throw some Eno on there. And if I shut up for just 30 seconds, there's something the hell going on. And I don't understand it yet. To skip ahead in here, here's another view of the same thing from above. I'll just turn Eno off, actually. So, the reason I'm here is that I want to understand all of the following. And I'm just going to say all of these questions, and then I'll follow up in the Slack channel. I haven't done the math. Fibonacci sequences, fantastic. I get that they're amazing. I haven't done my homework. Who else has experimented in that world? The Whitney Music Box. Oh, I do have to show you one other version of this. The Whitney Music Box is an idea that Jim can tell you all about in much greater detail. But the idea that if you imagine a line going from here to here, roughly, and I put a little copper contact pad in each groove so that each ball that goes past triggers something, right? It's not there. Well,
virtually
yeah. And It is. You know what? You get the point on that one.
That was unintentional.
If I were to skip forward to each one of those has a different note, you can start to hear something emerge. But I'm still in idiot mode. I've built a system, I'm throwing shit at it. I can time the release of the balls to be exactly what I want. But my problem,
Friction is going to be your enemy.
my problem is that reality does this thing. And
So, for example, we have a music video you should see.
yeah.
I would not use any sort of electrical contact like a.
It's probably going to be machine vision.
Break beams.
Yep. I'll paint little dots so it looks like something's happening, and then I'll just look at it. But there's a moment, actually, it's about to happen. One thing I can do in idiot mode here is, regardless of what friction there is, I can film the thing. I know exactly how long a given ball takes to do its thing. And so I can reverse engineer a single moment like that one. But what I was hoping for is one of those beautiful emerging and then re-emerging and then re-emerging patterns. Right now, if you look at a cross-section of the thing, it's a V. And so the periodicity of each ring gets faster and faster and faster, and they don't add up in a beautiful way. If I were to counteract that with maybe a gradual slope so that there's less incline, but I assume someone in this room right now has done that math.
Yep.
There we go. So
This
Multiple people.
This is not just math. This is also measurement.
this is measurement. This is who the hell is going to manufacture this thing? Who's going to make this thing to the tolerances I need?
Because the friction's going to scale with its speed,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a really hard thing to
Or
take
you
care of.
embrace some friction and you get some chaos.
Yeah.
And then I go John Cage instead of Steve Reich, and like, you know, there's a bunch of ways to form it.
Or you can go another way and have a button so people can release the balls on their own, and so it's interactive.
There's also,
And so that reduces your burden.
you're right. I make it your fault. I make it your fault that the thing isn't as beautiful as I want. There's also the idea you put a camera over the top of it and you pop a flash and you take a picture at a certain moment, and I release over the course of 6 weeks enough balls to do an animation. That kind of thing is all there, but the only thing that really fascinates me is this emerging, re-emerging, re-emerging music and math and feeling. So I've gotten to evening out the periodicity, formal music structures, just doing the musical equivalent of this math. Who do I look up? I'm here to start doing my homework. Reintroducing the light and space movement is in another entire presentation. I want to explore sacred geometry without the new agey bullshit, because as soon as I say sacred geometry, I don't want to say the wrong people show up, because that's rude. And then finally, and I know I'm running out of time, who the hell gives grants to do this? Who do I talk to? I can only spend so much of my own money, and I want to do this bigger than anyone I know can afford. So,
Companies that wanted in their lobby.
right? So,
Let me throw out another thing for you. Just think
and I defer to you on the timing of this. Okay.
Superiors roll on basically 2 points.
Okay. Oh,
Superiors roll on 2 points, and so your little curved tracks.
they're
Are
fucked,
those
right?
balls rolling fast or spinning? Are they spinning quickly or spinning slowly or without slipping at their falling rate? Basically, you want to control that, not let that be up to chance.
Correct.
So 2 rails.
2 rails. I can make that beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just one other quick comment, and you've probably already seen this stuff, but the band Wintergatan, the Swedish guy who built the marble machine, he's done a whole series of videos on his marble machine too, and he's been solving all kinds of problems involving the locomotion of ball bearings and ball transport. So check out, he's got like 100 videos now on solving those problems.
There's your weekend.
Give it up for Dave.